ahead and kind of like dive right in. These classes as a general rule are going to be about an hour and a half. Today, I got to cut that short and I got to get it right at an hour because I have to rush down to Camden, North Carolina and be there by 12 for a inspection. So it's going to be a little rushed. This is an engaging class. The more you guys contribute, the more you're going to get out of it. With that being said, let's just go ahead and kind of like dive right in. Sean, before we get started on some of the stuff, what were your thoughts so far on what you've read so far with the book?
I'm currently in the store right now. I'm on my way to the house, and then
Yeah.
and then I have my book. I got my book marked and everything. I'm just currently in transit.
Okay, that's fine. And then I'll just let you listen along. And then when you get to the house, you know, feel free to interrupt and we'll start talking and engaging more. Okay.
Okay.
Shelly, I'm assuming you're in a meeting. Yes. Thank goodness for the chat box. All right, so the first thing I want to start is about on page 35, where it talks about modeling the cornerstone of success. It's a very basic model that they have on page 37, where you have your pyramid, and at the bottom of it is the models, and then at the top of it is creativity. Now, as a new agent, we get licensed and we're like, what do we do to try to get business, right? That's where our creative mode kind of kicks in. And I tell this story every year and I'm going to tell it again. My cup story, right? I had no idea what to do in real estate. And so I wanted to start marketing myself. And one of those things that agents do are different pop buys and stuff like that. So I bought 2,000 cups, 2,000 plastic cups with my company logo on it and my name teeny tiny at the bottom. And I did not give out a single cup. So I had 2,000 of wasted cups. And you know, so it's things like that as an agent that I want to try to save you guys from, because when you do your investing and you decide what you want to put your money into, you need to make sure that it makes financial sense. A lot of agents that have came before you have tried things out and they've done things differently and they've succeeded, they failed. So what we really want to focus on is the models to build a nice solid foundation so that when you do get to a point of creativity, it's actually going to be based off of something tangible, something that's going to make sense for your business. So some of the different models that you can come up with can be, that you can utilize could be set up by different real estate coaches or by your brokerage. It could be something simple like making phone calls or social media posts, things that do not cost you anything but your time and effort. Does that make sense so far to everybody? Yes, good job. So when we start applying models and then putting it into action, we're going to hit a ceiling, if you will. So you start making phone calls, you go through your personal address book for your phone and you start calling on your friends and family, asking them if they know anybody that wants to buy or sell. And let's say that generates you a couple of good strong leads, which turns into a couple of closings. Then at some point you're going to reach a plateau and you're going to be like, how do I get more business? Like, this is all that I've gotten out of this. How do I get to the next level? And that's where your ceiling, your theoretical ceiling is. So when you hit your theoretical ceiling, that's where you want to sit there and first make sure that there's not something else that you're missing as far as the models go. Like, look and see what other agents are doing, because you have to have several different streams of lead generation to be able to really grow and progress. So you don't want to be stuck just doing one thing. You want to actually try 2 to 3 different things, exhaust them, and then move on to the next one, right? Some of these things that you try are going to be successful and some of these things aren't going to work, but you have to give it at least a good solid 6 months before you decide whether or not it's going to work or not. Every time you do real estate, you want to think about it. It's going to be for business 6 months from now. Does that make sense to everybody? So nice talking to the screen. So when you are deciding what to do next, what are some ideas? And Shelly, if you could put yours in the chat box, what are some ideas that you have tried that have been successful and some things that you've tried that have been unsuccessful?
as far as generating leads.
Hmm?
So I had this conversation with a good friend of mine who's also a real estate agent. I'm a mortgage banker, by the way. I don't know if y'all knew that or not. That being said, I said that there's a direct correlation with me posting on Facebook and Instagram with me generating leads, whether it be just in engagement from Messenger, Facebook or Instagram Messenger, or people actually calling me or texting me that have my number for whether it be rental properties that they're trying to find a rental property for themselves. It's real estate related because 90% of the people out there don't know the difference between me and her. They just think we're both in real estate. They have no idea what I do. They think that I sell real estate like you all do.
Mhm.
So they engage with me like that. So and it's crazy. I did a small study with myself and I said, you know what, let me try this out. I didn't post on purpose for like 3 weeks about anything real estate related. And then I went hard for a whole week. After that full week, I literally had 4 different engagements of some sort, real estate related after that. And it was kind of quiet before that. So
Yeah.
there is a legitimate direct correlation with your social media and generating leads. Literally, it was kind of crazy. And my buddy he's a social media guy and he gets it and he's like, damn, I can't believe it had that much, it yielded that much potential business.
Exactly. And the more that you actually post, the way that Facebook's algorithm works, the more they're actually going to put you in, they're going to put you in front of more people. So you're going to be a lot more engaged at that point too. So if you stay silent, there's 9 times out of 10, when you do start posting, not everybody's going to see your stuff. So you do have to be consistent with your postings. Otherwise it will fall off and people won't recognize your brand.
Mm-hmm. That being said too, I know another big algorithm on Facebook specifically is if she posts something great about real estate, whatever it is, and you decide to share it, it not only helps her algorithm, but believe it or not, it helps your algorithm too. And it'll not only show that share between y'all's mutual friends, but it will also show, it'll pop up in more people's threads because it's getting the engagement. That's what it's all about, is the engagement. It doesn't always have to be from your business page to get those engagements. If it's from your personal page, as long as it's getting engagement, meaning a share, a like, a comment, if you can get all 3 of those from one person, it like multiplies. It's crazy how the algorithm works. It's not something that it's not some like hidden secret. Everybody knows how it works. It's just people are lazy. But yeah, a quick share button of something I post or she posts that has real estate or even not real estate related, doesn't matter. It'll kind of make it so you start popping over those people's feeds.
And when you do post on your business page, you can share it to your personal page as well. I don't recommend doing that with every post that you post on your business page because you do want to create some separation. But there's a post that you might put on your business page that seems to get a lot more traction than your personal page, than your other posts on your business page. So share that one on your personal page, which drives people back to your business page and hopefully builds that up as well. Shelly says, talking to literally everyone I know about real estate has worked, being at a bar, restaurant, whenever, and making it a part, wherever, making it a part of the conversation works as well. I wholeheartedly agree with that. There's a lot of people who work full time and they're like, I want to get into real estate. However, I can't afford to lose my financial income right now. How do I do both? And I have the same serious conversation with everybody. You have to give up all of your spare time in order to build your real estate career. So if you're prepared to do that, then you can absolutely make the transition. But just because you're giving up your spare time does not mean that you're losing yourself completely and that you're always working. If you find ways to implement it into your everyday activities, you're going to have a lot more success than that way. I had this one mentee who was military, full-time military. He was in his last year transitioning out. His mom is a very successful agent in Georgia. But this kid hit the ground running. He talked about real estate every single day, every opportunity he got to his coworkers. He became successful with selling real estate because he was literally just talking about it with his coworkers. And this is a younger guy. This is early 20s. So he didn't have the sense of authority because of his age or because he was in the military. He had the sense of authority because he literally talked it to death. And he knew that there was a lot of VA benefits that would allow our veterans to sit there and be able to buy properties and actually turn themselves into the residual income later on down the road. And that was the approach that he took. So utilizing every opportunity to talk about real estate is a very good one. I think that one is probably the most organic one that you can actually do right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can piggyback on that. Just before I got into real estate, I've been rental property since I was 18 years old. It's been in my family, and I worked at the shipyard at Norfolk Naval Shipyard. There's a lot of people that they're retired military or did their 4 or 5 years or whatever, and they got out. That there's a ton of VA loans, and I'm still trying to break back into that, all these VA loans. And I work with a lot of people from Huntington Ingalls as well. I've actually closed 4 deals in my first year just with Huntington Ingalls. I mean, it's crazy because guess what? They all get paid. These people that work in these shipyards, they all get paid. They all get overtime. I say they all get, relatively speaking, they don't get overtime, but they're all getting 40-hour work week, which is what I care about, a 40-hour work week, which is what you care about because they're going to be qualified. So figure out what your sphere is. I mean, around here, around Hampton Roads, there's so many people that are former military or married to military or whatever. I mean, I know that y'all hate the VA loans from a real estate perspective in a sense, because they are kind of a more of a picky appraisal.
I personally love them.
Yeah, because they're qualified. So it's like you pick and choose.
Yeah,
you either got some guy or girl that can't, I say can't, is hard to maybe qualify, or you got this guy or girl that's amazing because they qualify. It's just a little bit hard on the back end and finding that perfect home for that appraisal and all that. But my big picture is, I'm just piggybacking on what Holly said. It's so true, to the point to where I had people come to me before I even thought about getting into mortgages. They knew I owned rental property. I had so many people come to me about real estate questions. What about rent? What do you know about home buying and all this? I'm like, damn, I should have got a real estate license 10 years ago, because I could have maybe plucked off a couple of homes that have sold. But that being said, utilize your sphere. That's the biggest thing that we always teach to all of our clients and people that we work with. Utilize your sphere. She's so right with that.
And a lot of times you don't even realize what your sphere of influence is. I know when I got into real estate, I came from a restaurant industry. I came as a manager, which kind of limited me on fraternization. Like, I couldn't fraternize with my employees. I didn't hang out with the other managers because we all worked, and I worked ridiculous hours. I worked about 60 to 70 hours a week, nights and weekends. So like, where's the personal time? So I genuinely did not feel like I had a sphere of influence upon getting into real estate. But over the years, I've realized that I actually did. You just have to learn how to work it differently. I have people who don't necessarily care for cold calling, because like, who actually does? Instead, I advise them to go through their Facebook friends list. I said, look, when you get on Facebook, don't you feel like you see the same 40 to 50 people's posts every single time that you get on? But you have hundreds of friends, maybe even thousands of friends. That means that there's a good chance that those hundreds or thousands of friends aren't seeing your posts either. So what I do is I go through my friends list, somebody that I hadn't talked to in a while, and I genuinely reach out. I don't go for a sales pitch and start talking about real estate right out the gate. I genuinely reach out to them, and I'm like, hey, it's been a hot minute, but how are you doing? Or you can even go through their posts and kind of like search through their stuff and congratulate them on something new. Somebody had a birthday, anything along those lines. But you come from a point of genuine feelings for it, then you're going to be a lot more successful, because you will be able to work real estate into the conversation. You ask them how they're doing and how work's going for them, they're going to follow up. Well, what have you been up to? It's just human nature. And so I've actually got quite a bit of business just by doing that, just by being a good person, showing that I care. I think Jordan could actually attest to that too. Jordan, are you able to chime in on that at all?
Sorry, took a minute to unmute. Yeah, absolutely. Just genuinely caring about people is your biggest asset. Like, being who you are, genuine to who you are, and genuinely caring about other people and who they are and what's best for them is going to take you further than any other marketing plan in this entire industry. You know, actually taking the time to talk to people about not just real estate, but what's going on in their lives. And it'll eventually come to real estate. But, you know, we always joke that the most successful agent should have also gotten a degree in psychology in school.
It does help.
It does. Like, we are professional problem solvers. Like,
yes,
we're not in, yes, we are in sales, but more than that, we are professional problem solvers.
Yeah. So after we've, exhausted this, and it's never going to be an exhaustion, right? Because you're always going to be recycling this exact same mentality. This is why it's your model. This is why it's your foundation. So once you get to a point where you're trying to push to the next level, that's when you start bringing creativity into your real estate experience. You never want to lose your foundation because you're always going to have that solid platform to continue to grow your business and nurture your current business. But the next thing that you're going to start doing is, how do you get creative? How do you think outside of the box? Like, if everybody is working their sphere of influence, how do you think outside of the box to move you to the next level? What are some different ideas on what you can do to grow your real estate? Shelly, you can put yours in the chat box. I'll give you an example just to kind of get you started. Buying leads. There's one. What else can you do?
For me, a big game changer has been following up with past clients with not only like calls and texts, which I've always done, but actually the last couple of years I've started doing Christmas gifts for all of my clients. And this year my goal is to not just do Christmas gifts, but also add another holiday or random pop by in throughout the year.
Elaborate a little bit on your Christmas gifts. Like, how much money are you spending per client? Do you hand pick them? Is it more generalized?
So I went to Sam's Club and I bought like 40 like little $10 gifts. So it was $10 per person. And that was anybody who bought or sold a home with me in that past year or sent me a referral that closed as a thank you.
That's awesome. And how was it received? Did you get a lot of calls?
I got so many texts and phone calls and, oh my goodness, thank you so much. This is so sweet. This was so thoughtful. Because I delivered them during the day when most people were working. So I didn't get to see a lot of people face to face, but so many people have Ring doorbell cameras now that I would just ring the doorbell and say, hey guys, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Waving and looking like a fool with a little Santa hat on.
That's awesome. And the thing about when you are dropping off these gifts, like, so one thing that I've seen a lot of like mega agents doing when they do these gifts is they are on a mission, right? So the mission is not to engage with the previous clients at the time that you're dropping off. The mission is to get the gift to the client and head on to the next person. So just like Jordan said, she delivered at a time when a lot of people were at work. So it's a nice surprise for them to come home to. So you don't necessarily want to, this is where kind of like time blocking comes into play. You want to be very structured with how you do your schedule, because let's say that you plan on making 200 phone calls a day, and then you get this email while you're making these calls, and the email sounds really important, sounds like a 911, and then you start handling that email, and now all of a sudden you didn't make your phone calls because it snowballed into something else. So when you are doing gifts like this, you want to make sure that you're focused, getting the gifts dropped off and moving on to the next person, because just like Jordan said, calls, text messages, all of those still happen, and they happen at a more convenient time for her. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes. All right. I love all the engagement. It's fantastic.
Also, so just to piggyback off what you said, Holly.
Yeah.
There was somebody that I happened to catch at home, and I love these people. I absolutely adore all of my clients, but I was there for an extra 35 minutes.
Exactly.
It was great. We were catching up. But it put me behind, and I wasn't able to finish what I needed to do that day. And I had to do it another day.
Jordan, I'm sorry. Jordan, y'all have been around me enough to know that I don't know when to shut up sometimes. So I can definitely empathize exactly where you're coming from. And that happens to me more so than not, especially if I get on the phone with somebody that's like-minded. Because I get a lot of investors. A lot of investors call me, people that are looking to buy their next home or their first investment. And I like this guy I talked to, I think it was New Year's Eve. I talked to this guy for 35 minutes on a pre-qual that should have taken me 15. Yeah. But I just enjoyed talking to him. And he's like, he's super knowledgeable. He works at Huntington Ingalls. He's got a great job, and it's like, we had the irony is he actually does the exact same job that I used to do at the shipyard, a nuclear pipe fitter. So it's like, when you get there, you're like, oh my God. And you get just engaged. Like, I like to talk to people, and I end up exactly like you did, Jordan. And I'm like, oh my God, I literally just spent 35 minutes on something twice as long as what it should have taken. And, but it's like, at the end of the day, there's a level of, I want to get this person to like me so that they'll do business with me when I give them this prequal.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a give and take, but I agree wholeheartedly. Like, at some point we have to figure out how to shut ourselves up, and without sounding like an ass, but like, stop talking, Craig, and it's time to be done, like right now.
Basically, you guys want to pick and choose, because you definitely want to still build these relationships, but you want to make sure that you're not letting socializing interfere with prospecting. So you have to stay focused on the task at hand. Like, when you take the time out to time block and set yourself up for success, the last thing that you want to do is have anybody distracting you or taking you away from that. So just, you're going to have those conversations, and it's going to work out a lot better for you, but you just want to make sure that when you are delivering these gifts, that you want to do it at a time where they're most likely not going to be home, to try to avoid that situation as much as possible. So what are some other ideas to try to help bring your business up to the next level? So far we've got buying leads, and we've got dropping off gifts, yearly gifts to your previous clients. What are some other ideas?
Drip campaign,
email
drip campaign, things of that sort. It's like a internet pop by, in a sense, right?
Yep. Go ahead and describe that a little bit. We have some newer agents on here that may not be implementing that yet. Exactly what a drip campaign is.
So drip campaign is basically, it's a top of mind tool. It's a way for you to stay top of mind with your clients, and your sphere, not just your clients, your potential clients, right? What the biggest thing in our industry, or with my team, is we say data. Data is number one. The biggest thing is, you want to get what? You want to get their name, their phone number, and their email. If you've got those three things, you've got obviously their name, but then you've got two different ways to engage with them on this drip campaign. And I know that y'all have CRM type things that I'm not going to get into, because I'm sure y'all beat that horse to death. And I'm sure if anybody has any questions on what CRM to use, which CRM is basically a drip campaign. It's a version of a drip campaign, or utilizes drip to stay top of mind. But the big picture is that, like, I did an event with Christy Hall with y'all, that's with KW, and we did the Chamber of Commerce event, which is a huge. It's called a mega mixer. It's their huge event. There's like 1,000 people that show up to this around the Halloween timeframe. And Christy and I designed this booth, so on and so forth. We had so many people stop by, because what was I giving away? I was giving away a sunset boat cruise. And all you did is they filled out their name or whatever, or they dropped their business card, and then we picked it out at the end. And who won? Keller Williams, was it Coastal Virginia with Cassette over in Chesapeake? I think it's Coastal.
Okay, yeah.
One of their agents is the one that won it. How perfect is that for me as a mortgage banker, right?
Yeah.
So big picture is, there's so many different ways to get this information. And then once you get this information, then you put it into your CRM to be able to do these electronic drip campaign, the electronic top of mind tools. And those really help, because it sends, I know that I get them from Christy. She put me on her email list. So I get the exact, the drip campaign that you all utilize for your clients. And there's a lot of good information in there. I'd say, let's say maybe 10% or 15% opens it. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter. You got to have reps at the plate. If you don't have reps at the plate, if you're not swinging the bat, you're never going to get a hit. So the biggest thing I can say with that is get people's data, name, phone number, email address, start there, and then put that into your drip campaign and just see where it goes.
And there's a wide variety of templates for drip campaigns already on command. So if you guys have not played around with it, I definitely encourage you to check that out. Capturing their information is step number one. And when you're deciding on which drip campaign to put them in, you're really going to be considering, well, who is this individual? Where did I meet them? What kind of substantial conversation did I have with them? Because there's campaigns for your previous clients, which could be simple stuff like, here's the next, it's getting ready to be summertime, time to like service your HVAC system, or best time to clean out your gutters, or different home maintenance tips to try to help keep them engaged and help them reading whatever you're sending. And then if it's for somebody that could be a potential buyer, then you're going to approach it differently. You're not going to talk about tips and tricks for taking care of your house. You're going to talk about how to save money, how to shop around for the best rates, how to check out different neighborhoods. So, and Command has a lot of different already created, already proven to be successful templates for you to plug your buyers into it. And you got to test it out. You're never going to know until you try it. Like, are you going to risk losing people? Are they going to unsubscribe? Sure. Like that's the nature of the beast. But at the same time, if you don't speak up, then you know for sure you're never going to get anybody. Does that make sense for everybody?
Another thing to add on top of that is there's a couple of actual, like not just emails, but actual physical card services that will do something similar.
Mail out?
Yeah, and they'll actually mail it out. So I've started doing this for my listing appointments, where anytime I go on a listing appointment, I then put their information into a system and I send them a couple brownies and a nice to meet you card. And
Awesome.
Did you say you sent what? A couple what?
It's a couple nice to meet you brownies, like so a couple brownies.
Brownies. That's what I thought you said.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then a card that says nice to meet you, and it's personalized to them. It has like their name because I put in their name. And then it signs my name for me. It's got all my information on the back, so it's all a marketing expense.
And how much do you pay on those?
So I pay $50 a month to have access to everything, but that gets me reduced. Like I get 50 free cards a month, like postcards, so you can easily like buy a zip code or whatever and mail it out there to do farming. And then it's also got a person finder in there as well. So if you know the name of a person in the city they live in, it'll find their address for you.
Oh, fantastic.
But it's $50 a month. And then like to send the brownies, 2 brownies and a card, it would cost me $10.
And see, that's an impression that she is leaving with that individual. So even if she doesn't get that listing, let's say they chose a different agent, which I seriously doubt they would, because Jordan's amazing. If you never shadowed her on a listing appointment, you absolutely should. But let's say that she doesn't, for whatever reason, get chosen to list that house. Let's say they list with a different agent. If anything goes wrong with that agent, guess who's going to be at the top of their mind? They're going to follow up with Jordan, be like, hey, you know, you really left a lasting impression. We ended up choosing so-and-so because they're related to so-and-so or whatever, but they're not getting the job done. I would really love to list with you. How do we go about doing this? So like leaving that lasting impression, giving them a reason to remember you is really going to be what impacts your business in the long run. Like you want to make sure that people remember you. So when the situation pops up and they need to sell their house, or they know somebody else he was selling, you're going to be at the top of their mind. Does that make sense for everybody?
I'm going to put the link in the chat for the website that I use.
Mailbox Power. That's awesome. All right. So as you're basically with that scale model that's on page 39, we're talking about your natural abilities, implement models so that you have a nice foundation to what you're doing. And then every time you reach like a stopping or a plateau, not a decline, a plateau, then you're going to implement creativity. And we've given you some examples now, but there's hundreds of them out there. Some of them are proven to work, and that's why they get used the most. And then some of them are a lot more unique, a lot more creative. I heard of a mega agent who does a whole holiday party for his previous clients at the end of the year, and they have to earn their invitation. They have to either send referrals that actually close, like 4 of them, and then they receive this really slick black envelope, like it's an exclusive party for them. And he throws a lot of money into that party because like they want to encourage people to continue to get invited to it. So there's very unique ways about doing it. There's very basic ways that a lot of people have done it. You have costs from like $0, because email campaigns are $0, up to mailers, which you can spend a couple of dollars all the way up to $10 per mailer, just depending on what you're trying to do. So different things is going to help you continue to grow your business, and you have to try it out for at least 6 months before you know whether or not it's actually working. So when you're doing your budget, Make sure you are budgeting out for 6 months to decide whether or not it's going to work or not.
I think they say with mailers specifically, it's like the old school way.
It is so old school,
The
but
mailers are the
but they
old school
love
way.
it. Like I see it starting to work again. People like that personal touch, especially because of COVID.
Exactly. So the biggest thing with the mailers, like she said, and I'm going to basically mimic exactly what she said. And you can Google this to figure it, to check my math or whatever, but you have to do it for at least 6 months to see any type of return. And the big thing is like, let's say it costs you, I don't know, whatever, $250 or something. Like if you do a co-branded one with me, I'm not selling myself.
Sell yourself, plug it in.
What I'm saying, if you do a co-branded mailer with me, it costs me $250, it costs you $250. And we are in the, I don't know, the East Beach section of Ocean View, of Norfolk. And we do that zip code. So those are higher end homes. There's a lot of nicer, newer homes that are being built over there. And the big picture is that if you don't do it for those 6 months, you're not going to see a return on your investment. If you do it for 2 months, you're not going to see it. It's all about staying top of mind, and you have to continue to do it. And the ones that are successful doing it, unfortunately, it's the ones that are doing it every single month. So the mailers are actually kind of in the big picture, are kind of an expensive way to market yourself.
Yeah.
Because if it's costing, $50 to $500 a mailer, or $250 for me, $250 for you, if you're $500 a mailer and you do it for 10 months, that's $5,000. That's a lot of money to put out in marketing for a hope and a prayer. I'm not saying not to do it. It's just, it is a little bit expensive, but you sell one home in Ocean View for $300,000. What's 3% on that? Do the math.
$9 grand.
Exactly. So
it does pay for itself, but when you're deciding to do a more expensive mailer like that, I would suggest going along the lines of what Jordan does. She does it for listing appointments. Like this is something that you're not doing on a regular basis. So it's not like a mass thing. Like if you're trying to be a strong listing agent, you're trying to go on at least 5 listing appointments a week, if not more. So 5 listing appointments a week. If you have a good conversion rate, you're converting about 3 to 4 of those. It's important when it's that concentrated. So like when you are trying to farm a neighborhood, it may not be financially feasible to sit there and farm an entire neighborhood with mailers. Instead, you want to be a little bit more specific and strategic with that money. You want it to be a lasting impression for somebody that it's actually going to mean something to. So it can absolutely get very expensive. You want to be very strategic with it. Like there are mailers where it is just a postcard that you can send out quarterly or monthly. That's going to be a lot cheaper, and you can go that route as well. But the goal is for you guys to get your little creative juices flowing. And when you come up with an idea that you want to implement, ask a senior agent that's been doing it for a while if they've ever tried it. Has it been successful for them? You can put it in our Facebook family group. We've all tried something or another. Like y'all heard my cup story. Don't buy cups unless you're actually going to hand them out. Like make it make sense for you and your brand as an agent. So even though we're Keller Williams, you as an agent are selling yourself. So you want to make sure that it makes sense for you. Okay.
I do know that I've actually mastermind with a couple of people that I think that are really good in real estate marketing. And I asked them this direct question. Is it better to do a postcard or to do an envelope? And they said 10 out of 10 is better to do a postcard.
Yeah.
Because people will never open an envelope, but they might at least glance at a postcard.
Yes.
And another way that I've done some postcard mailers is we'll put like a recipe on the back.
Yeah.
And that's a reason.
It's nice to have something about you with it.
Instead of just saying, hey, come do business with me and Holly. No, it's come do business with me because I gave you some silly ass recipe.
Yeah.
It may sound, but cheesy and corny actually work. If people get a small giggle or a laugh out of something that you sent them, then you've won.
Exactly.
Literally, you've won.
Exactly.
As corny or stupid as it may sound.
And there's so many ideas out there that you can easily just Google search different, like if it's a holiday or whatever that you're mailing them out or whatever, you can literally Google search it and get all kinds of ideas. So let's keep moving forward because we got a lot to cover in a little bit of time. So the next thing that we're going to cover is the 3 L's of the millionaire real estate agent. So who would say, what is your number one job role as a real estate agent? What's the number one thing that you're responsible for as an agent? Awkward silence. Is it writing contracts? talking to clients, negotiating contracts, marketing. What do you guys got? Shelley
Educating
says
your
marketing
clients.
your business. Jordan, what'd you say?
Educating your clients.
Educating your clients. So we have many hats as a real estate agent when you start to break it down, right? Because who I am talking to you guys or talking to other vendors is not the same person when I'm in front of my people. Like I can switch it up real quick. You'll hear me cuss so much now, but when I'm in front of a client, you won't hear a single cuss word come out my mouth. Like I'm just that good. But your number one job as an agent is working leads. So if you're not working leads, then you're not doing business. So you have to make sure that prospecting is a part of your daily work schedule every single day that you're working. Most agents work, 7 days a week. Some of us do have specific days that we dedicate to our family. However you are working your work schedule is totally up to you. And I'm not here to tell you the right way or the wrong way. What I am going to say, though, is every day that you are actively working and focusing on real estate, you should be prospecting. You should be bringing in leads because you cannot hope to do any kind of business without them. Can we be in agreement for that? Yes. Fantastic. What are the best leads, buyers or sellers? Shelley says sellers. Cregan says buyers because he's a loan officer.
Yeah, for me, buyers, but I think from a real estate agent's perspective, that's everybody wants to be a listing agent, right?
Yeah.
Because it's easier.
Sean, what are your thoughts?
Sellers.
Sellers. Jordan?
Depends what you mean by best. Do you mean easiest to convert? Do you mean most likely to use you? What do you mean by best?
I mean, which one is going to generate the most, statistically speaking, which one is going to generate the most business for you as an agent?
A seller is going to generate the most business for you as an agent generally, simply because your sign is in the yard. So therefore you've got marketing and people calling your number who are not your client.
Mm-hmm. So when you get a listing and you market it correctly, statistically speaking, it is supposed to turn into two new buyers, not like your sellers. So your sellers, if you have the listing, hopefully you have the buy side also, right? But you're supposed to market and generate it enough to turn it into two new buyers, which now Cregan is changing his mind to sellers because I just gave him 3 buyers versus 1. So if you market your listing properly, you should be having 3 deals lined up after that. Now, how do we make that happen? How do we leverage our listings to bring us more business? What are some ideas?
Well, I know that one thing that I've done with Christy actually is I had a co-branded, what do they call it? Yard sign.
Open house sign?
Yeah. And I don't know if y'all saw the picture that she did her gingerbread house, but she literally, she knew I was a judge, but I didn't, this wasn't, but she literally had our yard sign and she had it like this big cut out and put it in the front of her gingerbread house. I was like, that is literally amazing. Regardless of who it was. That's funny to me. It's great. But that's one way that I could potentially, from a mortgage perspective, do that. But at the same time, it also may, and this may be me, out of whatever, but it may give the real estate agent a little bit of, oh, well, they're co-branding or co-marketing themselves with a mortgage banker. So they obviously have been in the business for a while, or they know what they're doing because they have somebody that's helping them out. To the novice person that knows nothing about real estate, maybe that's that. I don't know, but
it creates the one-stop shop perspective. Like if a buyer's walking through a neighborhood that they would love to live in, they see a house for sale, they see your name, they see your lender's name, they're like, not only do I know who to contact about that house, but they're going to help me get the financing for that house as well. Another way to properly market your listing are open houses. How many open houses are you guys doing a month? Let's just make it big. How many open houses a month would you say that you're doing, that you're hosting and holding? Let me see how many goose eggs we have.
0.0.
What is the fear when it comes to holding an open house? This is a safe space. Like, I want to hear your honest opinion. What keeps you from hosting an open house?
Well, I know in this market,
Lack of inventory.
It's flying off the market anyway. I know that I've heard that 10 times if I heard it one time. A real estate agent says that I don't need to have an open house because it's going to sell.
Yeah.
But there's also a caveat to that. You hold an open house, not to just sell that house, but to
get the buyers.
Exactly. And that's why I actually have gone to a handful in the last 6 months. You know, I put it out there to, you know, you or Christy or Jordan or whoever, or other friends of mine in the real estate. If you're having an open house, I would 100% love to go and sit there with you for 2-3 hours at your open house.
Yeah.
And then also not just, you know, y'all did that fighting real estate agent thing that a couple weeks ago. Y'all can't see how big I am. I'm almost 6'4" and 250 pounds. I'm not a small individual. So for Jordan or Holly or Christy, who are women, not to say that, you know, can't hear me roar. I know I'm close enough. I know you'll hit me, but no, but in all seriousness, regardless if it's two a man and a woman, or just Jordan and Holly are there together, guess what? It's going to strengthen numbers. Nobody's going to try and take you over or do whatever, because there is that level of, oh my God, I don't want to go to maybe have an open house because of that. And there shouldn't be that, you know?
I mean, as a general rule, I don't allow any of my mentees or anybody on my team to do an open house by themselves. We always buddy up because there is safety in numbers. Shelly said no one shows up. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to make sure that we have people attending our open houses. What about you, Sean?
I haven't, but I do have a question. I'm the new guy. So are you talking from a listing agent's point of view or a buyer's agent when it comes to?
So as a buyer's agent, when it comes to hosting open houses, you have to get permission from the listing agent anyways. And a lot of listing agents encourage that behavior. Me as a listing agent, I like to host my own open houses because you do get buyers also. So if I'm not hosting my own open house, one of my team members is hosting my open house. So it goes from both sides. But I just want to speak in general, like leveraging the listings of our office, even as a buyer's agent, even if it's not your listing, how does an open house benefit you, and what the hesitation is on not hosting them, so that we can try to tackle those and hopefully get you guys hosting some open houses this year.
Yeah, and it gets the data stuff that we talked to circle back around to data. Because you're going to have a sign-in sheet. You're going to have their name, their email address,
hopefully their phone number,
and then the big one for me that I always put on there: do you have a lender that you're working with already? Or a real estate agent
or a house to sell
because
in order to buy. Like there's a lot of information that you can capture upon sign in from these potential buyers. And don't get me wrong, there are going to be some people coming into the open house that are neighbors or, you know, just nosy family. You're going to get some stuff that's not necessarily going to pan out to be a deal, but you're trying to build your database. You're trying to put your face out there. So why not an open house? And just to kind of like back up a little bit, where we were talking about the agents who don't have open houses because the houses are flying off the market. This is where me as a listing agent, I do things a little differently. I intentionally list my houses on Thursday so that I can open house on Saturday and Sunday and have enough offers in over the weekend to allow my seller to make a really good decision on what offer he's going to receive, but to give us the most exposure we can before we go into a ratified contract. To me, that just makes sense. Does anybody disagree with that theory? I think so. All right. So when you start utilizing your listings to try to grow it into more business, you want to make sure that you're taking all the proper steps to market it, because this just looks better for your seller anyways, right? So you're going to get your seller a nice, strong offer. In addition to that, they're going to see how professional you are with handling their listing, and that you're not one of those agents who just slap it on the MLS and expect the market to sell it, that they're going to recommend you to their other clients. They're going to see you that you are the total package. And if you take Jordan's advice, you also give them a nice treat after you do the initial listing appointment in the first place. So it's good to build your brand this way, and to help you sit there and motivate the rest of the people that you are around to try to go ahead and get this house sold. A lot of times when I get ready to do an open house, I like to, first of all, spend at least a week of marketing that I'm doing an open house, at least a week. And then in addition to that, the day before, I like to go scout the neighborhood and give them little invitations that I make and invite the neighbors to the open house. So even though they're not necessarily going to be buying that house, they have friends and family that they would like to live closer to them. So they could connect you with the next potential buyer, or they could be getting ready to sell their house. And now they see how much work you're putting into selling their neighbor's house. So they want to utilize you later. Does that make sense? All right, let's talk about leverage. So once you have been working your leads and you've worked in your listings, what is it that you're going to leverage in your business to try to make sure that you are utilizing your time wisely, right? So one of the things that I like to always think about when I talk about leverage is what I am responsible for in a day-to-day basis. I'm sure a lot of us have responsibilities at home. You have either pets, or you have kids, or you have a significant other. So what is it that outside of real estate are your responsibilities at home? Cleaning, laundry, yard work, taking kids to school, working from home. Shelly's got her life easy right now. So one of the things that I am working towards myself, I'm not there yet, but I'm working towards myself, is generating enough income to where I can afford the luxury of having a cleaning lady. So you pay a cleaning lady, you know, $100, couple $100 a week to come and maintain your house, right? And when you get to the point of making that decision, if let's say it costs you $200 to have somebody come to your house a couple times a week to kind of do the things that you're not getting a hold of, right? The way that you're breaking that down is to an hourly thing. So let's say that $200 buys you 4 hours worth of cleaning. So that is $50 an hour. If you leverage the amount of money that you're making and the hours that you put into your business, and if it is more than $50 an hour, then guess what? You need to leverage that and utilize that time, that expense, to allow you to go make more money, right? So when you get to a point in your life where you can afford stuff like that, then it makes financial sense for you to actually pay it out, because you can make more money doing your leads, leveraging your listings, and earning more. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Time is money.
So that is just
Time is money.
your personal life, right? This also falls into the same situation as work in real estate. So as a listing agent, so if you start doing your research and you start noticing what agents are doing what, you'll see some agents that pretty much only work with listings because they are leveraging out their buyers to other agents, because buyers are time consuming. Buyers take a lot of time. You're showing a lot of houses and you're having to do a lot of work just to get them under contract. You can handle the sheer volume, you can handle like twice as many listings as you can buyers. And I'm sure that Jordan can agree with me on that one. She's agreeing with me, trust me. Because when you take the time that you have to take each buyer out to go see, let's say they're looking at an average of 10 houses before they put in their first offer. And then in this market, they're not usually winning their first offer. So you're having to take them to go see 10 more houses before they try again. So before you even get them closed, you spent time and probably showed them about 30 houses. And then if you times that by 4, that's 120 houses that you've shown in a matter of a couple of months. Whereas a listing, you are handling a lot of marketing stuff. However, you are not out there constantly showing houses, taking time out of your day because you got drive time and it's all hours of the day and stuff like that. So a lot of successful listing agents leverage their buyers onto other agents and just take a referral fee, because they're going to make more money because they can handle more listings than they are with the loss of the money that they're going to actually give to a buyer's agent. And they're building relationships. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Yes, fantastic.
Leverage is huge in business. It's huge in business.
Yeah.
You
So
think about if it takes you 2 hours to cut your grass or an hour and a half to cut your grass once a week, 6 months a year, do the math on that. How much of that time, instead of just paying somebody $50 or $75 or whatever to cut your grass every week, that you could be doing real estate things. You do one real estate deal in 1 year, that pays for your yard work probably and some for the
yeah,
year. So just look at it from that perspective.
I'll be getting a lawn care person too, right along the lines of the housekeeper.
Yeah.
A cleaning lady for my house and somebody
Yeah.
to keep, because the time that first of all, it doesn't take me that long to do dishes, takes me like 15 minutes, but it takes me hours to cut my grass because it's just not something that I do on a regular basis. Guys, I hate to put us on pause real quick, but I have a inspection down in North Carolina that I think they're about to like cancel. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna pause, y'all. Like, talk amongst yourselves, please. Great news. I get to spend more time with you guys. I had a home, well, it's not a home inspection, it's a restaurant inspection in Camden, North Carolina at noon. But since the weather is going to be kind of crappy for me, they are rescheduling it so that I don't have to die. The things we do for our clients. All right, where was I? So we talked about listing leads and leverage. Now we got to start thinking about our mindset and how we're going to implement our goals. Has anybody done a goal sheet for 2022? Do you know how much money you want to make? How many houses you want to sell? Where's your mindset? What are your goals? Anybody? Somebody,
Radio silence.
one goal. Somebody give me one goal for 2022.
I want to
Sean
learn.
says close 10 deals. That's a good solid goal.
That's a
What's
good
your
solid.
goal?
I want to learn more loan programs. Non-QM type loan programs that I've shared with y'all before at your meetings. I want to learn, at least one or two more good ones, and then different loan programs like Chenoa and just different loan programs. And then my joke, that was my actual business year goal, but my other goal is to play more golf. Because you gotta have a balance. You gotta, obviously we're all driven people that want to make a lot of money and do well in business, but you also have to have time for yourself as well. And that was my goal, is to play a little bit more golf and have more me time, because we all worked really hard last year, and we're always going to continue to work. It's just, you got to have me time. If you don't have me time, then you're selling yourself short. You're going to get burned out. 100% you're going to get burned out. So whether it be going and get a manicure, pedicure, playing golf, going to a swimming pool, going to your friend's house, whatever you like to do more of that to kind of break up the menagerie.
Yeah. And Shelly says that she wants to make at least 50,000. I'm assuming that's that magic number to help you transition out of full-time work to full-time real estate. Is that what that magic number is right there? For now, that's the absolute minimum. So the reason why it's important for you guys to have goals, because if you don't have what your goals are, then what are you actually working towards? This whole book is built to help you work backwards and break down things to not only a yearly, quarterly, monthly, down to weekly, down to even daily, to help you get and achieve those goals. And one of my goals for 2022, because I have several, I want to own my first investment property by the end of the year. I'd like to buy like a little townhouse. I'm not trying to put a whole lot into it, but be able to turn it into some rental income. That way my money can start making me money that doesn't need me physically working for it, right? In addition to that, I want to double my numbers. I want to sell twice as many houses for 2022 than I did this past year. So when you start having a mindset and setting these goals, you want to make sure that you're ready to start working and achieving those goals. Does that make sense for everybody?
I like the saying, a goal is only a dream without a plan.
It's so funny because I actually say all the time, I'm like, dreams become goals, goals become reality, reality becomes expectations, right? You can't have one without the other. So you got to start somewhere. So start dreaming big. What's it going to take for you to be successful in real estate in your mind? Like how do you know that you're starting to be successful in real estate? What about you, Jordan? Do you consider yourself successful in real estate?
Yep. Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. What started making me feel successful in real estate rather than just spinning my wheels was when friends and family did start trusting me, when I was getting those referrals from past clients, or past clients were coming back and, wanting to use me again. That's when I felt that success. Mm-hmm. Because it meant that I was truly helping somebody and making an impact on their life in a positive way. And to me, that was success.
I think that is a very good level right there. I think for me personally, it's when people started coming to me for advice.
Yeah, that too.
When people start asking you how you're doing something because they see you succeeding with your efforts and they want to learn from you. I think that's really where I started feeling like, okay, I'm clearly doing something right. It's more than just paying bills. It's about building your future. It's about building that financial wealth that you can pass on to your family and show your kids something different than what you had, so you have that. But then when you have other people coming to you who don't have to look up to you, like your kids have to look up to you, you birth them, like they are a product of you. But like strangers, they don't have to look up to you. So when somebody comes up to me because they see what I'm doing and they want to learn from me, and I'm like, there we go. I hit it. I did it.
Definitely. Definitely.
So let's talk about on page 49, they start talking about different myth understandings is how they're calling it. So they're saying the myth is I can't do it. I mean, we all have that voice in our head, right? Everybody's got that voice that's giving you your mental limitation. It could be the sound of your own voice. It could be the sound of a parent. It could be the sound of an old boss. When I decided to leave the restaurant industry, my regional manager told me that I was going to have a hard time selling real estate, that it was going to be tough because his wife had been doing it for 4 years and she only sells like 4 houses a year. Like that's what he said to me. He used his wife's experience and pushed it on me and then told me that I was limited. Now, this guy didn't really know me. Like he has no idea where I came from or what I was about or anything along those lines. He just shot from the hip, and it could be because he didn't want to lose a manager. Who fucking knows? But he didn't know me, and but that voice, I heard that voice for a little while. But after I sat down with myself and I decided, why can't I be successful? Like what are the obstacles that's going to keep me from being successful? And the only thing that was standing in my way was the knowledge. Like, I don't know how to sell real estate, which is why I picked a brokerage that I knew had really good training, which is why as a mentor, I try to make sure I give really good training, because that was the only thing that was telling me that I couldn't be successful.
Knowledge is power. That is for sure.
Yep.
And you gotta use the hater or whatever that's trying to talk you out of something as your fuel. That's what you use.
I think as women, we all do that. We don't need no man to tell us what we can and can't do. So basically the truth is, until you try, you can't possibly know what you can and cannot do. And in reality, when you start trying, it's never failure. It's just a no for right now. So you just switch it up and keep trying, because it is only a failure when you actually quit trying. The next myth is it can't be done in my market. I see that on a regular basis in so many words on Facebook from other agents. Oh, I can't do this because our market here, or, you know, I can't be a successful agent because it's a seller's market. Go after sellers. I can't be a successful agent because it's a buyer's market. Go after buyers. Like, there's literally no limit to you except for you. So you have to make sure that you understand your market and figure out what other people have done before you to implement their models to make you successful, because you don't have to create and do something new. Trust me, most of it has already been done before, and you're going to have a lot more success with trying out things that have worked in the past for others.
Can't is a 4-letter word that I don't like. Most 4-letter words I do like, but that is one that I don't like. And it's an old, I think it's Zig Ziglar, old guy that, you know, used to talk about how to motivate people, and stinking thinking. If you got the stinking thinking, you know, if you bring positive vibes, I'm a big vibes guy. You bring positive vibes, you're going to be successful, because if you can't, you're not going to be successful if you have that stinking thinking. So you got to be positive and move forward with that. So I agree with that. Definitely. It's awesome.
The next myth, it would take too much time and effort.
It all takes time and effort.
Yeah, like they're worried about, and this is where I want to really speak this directly to those of you who do work full-time for another job, because it is exhausting. It is a lot. It takes a very dedicated person to build their real estate career while having to give 40 hours to a different company. I used to hear this saying a lot back in the day when I used to be a Jehovah's Witness. So y'all, let me break out a little bit of religion for you. But one of the phrases that they used on a regular basis was, you cannot slave for 2 masters, because one will become jealous of the other. So basically what it is saying is, like, you cannot give of yourself equally 100% to do with 2 different people. It will be divided, and you have to decide who's going to get the most effort. So if you're in a well-established job where you are kind of, muscle memory, you already know what you're doing and stuff like that, then they don't need 100% of you. Like, you can still get your job done satisfactory without having to overly dedicate yourself. But real estate is not going to be like that for you. You're going to have to sit there and give of yourself quite a bit to your real estate career so that you can grow that, because that is your goal. Your goal is to be a full-time real estate agent so that you can let go of that other job. So what does that really mean? That means in the mornings before you start your shift at your current job, you're making phone calls to potential clients. You're sending out emails. You're creating Facebook posts. During your lunch hour, you're making more phone calls to potential clients, possibly scheduling showings for your buyers for that afternoon. So when you get off of work, you're going right to show houses. When you get off of work, you're either showing houses or you're doing follow-up emails and follow-up phone calls. That's 3 times a day that you can actually be prospecting. And then on your weekends, you will be spending them doing open houses or networking. Does that mean you spend every weekend doing that? No, because like Cregan pointed out, you have to make time for your family. You have to make time for yourself. But you need to make sure that the time that you're taking for yourself is because you actually need it for your mental well-being, and not because you have lazy habits that you're just not ready to get rid of. My couch sees a lot of my derriere, because like I like sitting in the couch and watching TV. Like, that's my break from the rest of the world. But I always have my laptop with me, because if something pops up, it's easily accessible for me to get back to work. I have the ability to chime in and chime out when it comes to that. So you want to make sure that you're leveraging your time for something useful, because we all have the same 24 hours in the day. How come some of us are making a lot more money than others? What sacrifices in the beginning did they make to get to that point where they make it look so easy? Does that make sense?
To piggyback off of what you were saying, Holly, is use technology to your advantage. If you have an Android phone, you can schedule out text messages to go out in advance up to a year, like, or more. So with an Android phone, I don't think Apple can do that unless they made a change recently. But every email can schedule out emails. So even if you can't make a phone call or something like that during the day, you can send out an email. You can schedule an email to go out, when you need it to.
Yes, and the same thing with Facebook posts. You can schedule your Facebook posts out for the week. You can take an hour out of your day, create 5, 6, 7 different Facebook posts, and schedule it to go out during the week on your business page without you even having to make sure it does it. You set it up ahead of time and then you forget about it. But you have to take the time out of your day, out of your week, to schedule those out, and you can make your technology work smarter so you don't have to work harder. Absolutely.
Yeah, we use a website called later.com. And you can do the scheduling for LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram.
Yep.
So
InStock Social is another good one. I
Yeah.
use them. And they create posts for me. I don't even have to create posts. And then if you guys use what is it called? Something media.
Back at You Media.
There we go. Back at You Media. Not only do they help you create posts, but they pull listings from our office to help you advertise listings. So definitely working smarter, not harder, is definitely going to help you out. But at the same time, if you put in all of this time, money, and effort towards building your real estate career, and let's say 6 months from now, you find you're at a point in your career where you can let go of that other daytime job, does that not make this all worth it? It's only lost time and effort if you stop trying and you don't succeed. As long as you continue to try, you will eventually succeed. Shelly says, yes, it's so worth it. Shelly just bought her first house this past year. So this is like a big step for her. And she has been licensed for 1.5 years or 2 years, Shelly? 2 years. So she's been licensed for 2 years. COVID was a big pain in the butt for her because her job required her to do more. And whereas most people kind of went back to default mode and focused on their job and let real estate go, Shelly stayed. She had to make job a priority for a little bit, but the second that she had the opportunity to get back at real estate, she did. And she has been boots to the ground, working it and working on getting herself to where she wants to be, because 2022, she's putting in her notice with the other job, not with real estate. So time, money, and effort is only wasted if you are not doing your research ahead of time. So don't go buy cups, and making sure that you stick with it and make the most out of your hours, because you can still, if you do the calls and emails in the morning, lunchtime, and showings and follow-up calls in the evening right after you get off of work, you can literally be done and ready to relax by 7 to 8 p.m. So like, you're not really losing a whole lot of time. You still can have that family time as well. And I'm not here to tell everybody they should work till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. I'm just saying you can make the most out of your day without having to overly exhaust yourself too.
And then there's other people out there that they work better at 8 o'clock to midnight. I think I forget. I think it was Laura McGuire put it on there. Somebody put on there who's a very high earning, in my opinion, a very high earning real estate agent in Hampton Roads, and she literally put, "I work better between 8 p.m. and 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
midnight."
Yeah.
So it's all what works better for you. Like, I'm more of a night guy. Like, in mortgages, you don't have to wake up at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. But I do wake up at 7 a.m. And I may not get in front of my computer till 8:30, but I still wake up at 7 to just wake up, take a shower, do all the things. So whatever, you have to figure out what works best for you. And if you have that second job, you already know what works best for you. You got to you have to do your main stuff and then focus on this as well. So it's definitely, as someone that I worked 40 to 60 hours a week, just like Holly did for a long time, but I was also going to school at ODU. So it's all about time management. And if you can master time management, you will be great in all things that you decide to put your mind to. Time management is so huge. And so she's so right with that. And I'm still trying to learn my time management.
It will always be an ongoing process, right? I am not the most organized. I'm an organized chaos, right? So like, I work well when the messier it gets, you get more out of me. But like, am I as organized as I would like to be? Absolutely not. Like, I will be leveraging that out and paying somebody else to organize me, because it could be a better system that I have in place. So like, you understand where your shortcomings are, build off your strengths until you plateau, and then get creative and break through that ceiling. That's what this is all about. You just got to keep pushing and keep moving forward. So the next myth is, it's too risky, I'll lose money. So the truth is, risk is in direct proportion to how well you hold your incremental costs accountable to the producing incremental results. So do not invest. You hear this when it comes to stock market as well. I don't know if anybody saw my Facebook post the other day, but I've been researching stocks a lot lately. But they tell you, when you go to invest money into stocks, that do not invest anything that you're not willing to lose, right? Real estate is the same way. Anytime you are investing in a business or investing in marketing, you want to believe that it's going to have a return, right? But do not invest your rent money into marketing for real estate, because rent is still due, and that marketing is not going to pay off until 6 months later. Like, let's keep 6 months in our mind. So whatever you're investing in, you need to understand that the return is not going to happen for at least 6 months on it. So don't invest in money that you don't have, and don't buy cups. God, I can't talk about that enough. Make sure whatever you are investing in is something that has already been tried and true by another agent. You don't need to get too creative in that department, because there's so many of us before you that have tried things out and it did not work. So if you are talking about buying leads, what companies do you decide to buy leads from? What kind of return are they guaranteeing? What is their retention rate for keeping agents continuing to buy leads from them? How much effort is being put in there? And then you have other lead generations that are giving you clients and you're just paying on the back end. So like it's a little bit more costly at that point because you're paying a 35% referral fee versus paying a flat rate, you know. But if you don't have the money to leverage it in the beginning, then you take that loss. You do that 35% referral fee at the end of it until you build up enough leverage to invest differently. Does that make sense for everybody?
Marketing drives business. It's a tried and true. You know Michael and Son because of their jingle. You know Charlie Falk Auto because of that guy with the crazy voice on the radio. You know,
Is that the one that had the goat way back in the day?
that was eating the credit report.
I don't even know what it was eating, but I
I think
remember a
so.
commercial that had a goat, and I feel like it was,
Yeah, they were eating your
it was
credit
like a
report.
really, really long,
Actually,
and
I'm gonna
that's
bring
what I
that-
remember.
I think I'm gonna bring that back, man.
Bring the goat back.
Bring the goat, eat the credit report. I don't know, but nowadays you probably can't even do that because
Or
they're
like
"Oh,
Mac
you're
Mac
making
with
a
a
good-"
dog.
Yeah, Mac. Exactly. That's a perfect example. Mac with the dog. You know, so I'm not like, I mean, another shameless plug. My stuff is Captain Mortgage. So I got a logo made very recently because that's my thing. That's my marketing, whatever. And we do the boat cruises and things of that
Yeah.
sort. You know, so I try to market myself. That's my niche is Captain Mortgage. Find out what your niche is. It doesn't have to be something like that. It could be whatever you think it's going to be. But like you said, try. But marketing 1000% drives business. It goes back to what we very first talked about, that little BS study that I did in my head. I don't know if it's of any real relevance, but that I didn't post for 3 weeks and then I posted for a week and I got leads. So it's
Yes.
literally, even it may not seem like it, even when you're posting something about real estate or this closing or this showing or this open house, it is real estate related, you know. So just trying, they I don't know, they say something like, you know, don't post all the time about business and that, this and that. I get it because people get tuned out to it.
Yeah.
Um,
But if you're posting business on your business page and sharing those posts occasionally on your personal page, that kind of helps mellow that out because you don't want to be constant real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate. You want to have something that's fun in there, whether it's holidays or like me, I posted about stock markets and I got more interaction with that from people than I did about selling a house. I'm like, well, I mean, it hurts, but at the same time, it's nice to know that these people are still seeing my posts. So you just want people to be engaged with you, whatever post it takes to get them engaged. I would steer away from like religion and politics and, you know,
yes,
them
please.
high punch items that's gonna cause a great divide.
Or put somebody in Facebook jail.
Yeah, don't get put in Facebook jail. There's no need for that. But as you start to grow in production, you're going to grow in your marketing budget as well. Just make sure when you're growing in your marketing budget that you have real numbers and real expectations for whatever it is that you're spending. For example, I was investing in Zillow for 2021 for marketing leads. When I first started, let's just give you all a nice number. These aren't my real numbers, but let's just give you a nice number. When we first started, I was paying, let's say $1,000 a month, and it was supposed to be generating at least 6 leads per month, which should convert to 4 closings if you have a nice high conversion rate. Now, because of Zillow did whatever Zillow does, that it started out strong, drastically died off because they were being twats, and it is what it is. So I had to stop investing in Zillow because I went 3 solid months before receiving a lead that was converted. I probably received over the course of those 3 months 4 or 5 leads altogether through the 3 months, with one of them that successfully converted and closed. So that's $3,000 that I paid out for that lead. And then in addition to that, that lead was actually handled by somebody on my team. So then I only received the referral fee off of it. And then so after paying for the lead itself, paying the referral fee, paying for the transaction coordinator, I lost $250. So make it make sense when you are investing in these leads. Like, make sure that you're investing with a company that has a good reputation, that has a high retention rate with their agents, that are looking to build and grow something bigger than the product that they're selling. So If you're interested in doing anything along those lines, just talk to your mentor, talk to another seasoned agent who have done it, and figure out what works best, and partner with a lender. Partnering with a lender, it gives you the benefit of not taking on that financial burden and gives the opportunity for you to build a relationship with a great lender so that y'all can partner on other marketing events later on, and allows both of y'all to receive the business off of it. So make a nice relationship with a lender and partner with them and see, and you might start off small. So start off small and grow it into something bigger. Make sure it's something that you can commit to losing for 6 months before you start to see a return on it. So make it make sense.
Mitigate the cost, right? That's the
Yeah.
big goal.
So the next myth is my clients will only work with me. Only I can deliver quality service. This is my problem. I will admit this. I have a hard time of letting things go because I'm a little bit of a control freak, and I deliver exceptional service. Like, I want to make sure that my clients are not only educated and informed about the whole process, but that they feel like I go above and beyond every single time when I do a deal. So it is hard for me to allow that experience to leave my control by allowing another agent to step in. But in reality, the clients are not loyal to me. They're loyal to the standards that I represent. So let's say that you reach a point where you're going to start leveraging a buyer agent to help you out with your business. You set the standard, you show them how it's supposed to be done, and you have those hard conversations to set expectations on what you expect from them as a buyer's agent. That way, your standards and your service are still intact, and you are allowing yourself to build and leverage a bigger relationship that's going to grow into something more. Does that make sense? All right, so the last myth is having a goal and not fully realizing it is a negative thing. So when you have a goal, your goal starts out as a dream. Oh, I want to make 100,000 a year. Okay, what does 100,000 a year actually mean? What will you do with that 100,000? Sure, it's more than what you're making currently, right? Because that's what goals are supposed to be, bigger than what you were doing. But what are you going to do with that 100,000? How are you going to make that grow onto the next thing? And then you have to break it down quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily, so that you could actually start achieving that goal.
So you're basically trying to create a business plan, correct?
Create a business plan, exactly.
So coming from a business background, that'd be kind of easy for me to do that. Now I challenge you all. Would that be easy for you? It's a yes or no question. You don't have to answer, but
Yeah.
if you don't know how to start or where to start, I know for a fact she's great. I know for a fact Jordan's great. I know for a fact Christy's great. And I mean, all the other mentors, I'm sure they're awesome as well. I know Nikita's awesome too, but
Yep.
But my point I'm trying to make is you have resources to figure out how to do the business plan. And I mean, the biggest thing is you got to have a balance. Yes, obviously you have to pay your bills, but how much money do you invest in marketing? How much money do you invest in marketing? That's a huge question, because like you said, you can't, or you don't want to invest something that you don't have, or go put it on a credit card just because you can.
Mhm.
You know, maybe put on your credit card to get points, but then pay it off at the end of the month. But don't go rack up $10,000 in a year on marketing stuff that yielded you little to no business.
And like Shelly says, you got to make sure that you stick with it. You can't just have it and not stick to it. You got to stick to your budget. You're always going to reevaluate your budget, and how often you reevaluate it is definitely up to you. Minimum should be quarterly, but you're always going to be reevaluating your budget, but you do need to stick to it. You don't want to sit there and have a marketing budget of $200 a month, and then all of a sudden you're blowing $500 because you think it sounds good. So we're going to wrap it up here, but I do want you guys to look at page 71 real quick, where it talks about the 9 ways the millionaire real estate agent thinks. Foundational is your big why and your big goals and your big models. And then you have the support to grow off of those. So as we come to a close here, I want you guys to take time and meditate on that later. I want you to come up with your big why. Why are you getting into real estate? What does this mean to you and your family? And build your big goals and your big models. And then I want you to email them to me over the next week so that we can revisit this at our next class. Okay?
Homework.
Homework. All right, everybody. I hope you guys enjoy your day. Stay safe. The weather is kind of crummy. And I will see you next month, first Monday every month at 10 a.m. We are going to do the shift book starting on that Monday. So we will be simultaneously going back and forth between the two books. But I look forward to you guys and at the next class, okay? Bye.
See you later.